Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I am talking about 6 steps to a successful proposal. And these and today specifically I'm talking about step 4, but let me give you an overview of what those 6 steps are again. We're talking strategy. So this occurs before a RFP or SOQ comes out. Step 2 is the startup phase. Step 3 is the management process. 4 is content development, which we'll talk about more detail today. 5 is the review process. And then 6 is closeout, interview, production, everything that happens at the end to make sure that you actually submit it or don't, whatever your decision is, but going through the end of the process. So today, specifically step 4, I love content. Writing, editing. This is my jam when it comes to the proposal process. I consider it the good stuff. So I'll give you an overview of everything that I consider in step 4. So this includes how you organize your content, not in Word or not in folders, but truly how are you going to organize it on a, let's say, a Word document, a Google Docs, in order to develop it. It's this outlining process. So outlining, I am a little not biased, but particular on which outlining process I use. For me, it is, I love the traditional formal outlining process. But it is critical to, especially if you are not writing all the content, even if you are, it is to get all your ideas down on a page and making sure that you are meeting and are compliant with the RFP requirements. Because everything is dependent on this outline. So getting that feedback, sometimes I will communicate and develop these outlines ahead of the kickoff meeting and communicate them at the kickoff meeting. And we kind of potentially work through our solution and what we're going to write about then. Otherwise, it is a meeting, or developing this outline is not, a lot of times I will develop it independently as a proposal manager, or the proposal team get feedback from the pursuit champion or whoever is knows the client the most and knows our solution, and being able to mold those two together and then giving it to a writer, or then giving it to a subject matter expert who can take it and help with the content from there. But my favorite process is the formal outlining process. So it is, starting with your tab, and then whatever that question is from the client, and breaking it down from there. Very visual, very structured. That's probably why I like formal outlining the most. But really, this allows us to bring in, what are we going to talk about in the introduction? What projects are we going to feature? How are we going to organize this in a structured manner while still meeting page budget and scoring the most points? So that's why I love the outlining process. And in addition to, once you have that outline, what are we going to do, right? We have to start writing. There needs to be words on the page. In leveraging boilerplate content, go-bys, previous proposals to be as efficient as possible. Someone on my team and I were having this discussion yesterday, and it really is about efficiency. There tends to be a lot of things that we're going after. More clients are doing these best value proposal SOQ documents. So there's just more of them. It wasn't like when I did it 20 years ago and there was, 1 or 2 every 3 months. Now they are coming at us a lot faster. So how can we leverage what we've already developed for the client? How can we leverage other content we are developing, either for boilerplates, for standard corporate content, to then take and customize for this pursuit, which is for me very important because of that efficiency. We can't, in order to prevent burnout, to prevent long hours, we need to be as efficient as possible. And then the other piece that you might have to leverage, depending on your subject matter experts and their comfortability with writing content and developing content, is interviewing and working with our subject matter experts. So this can be tricky. It can also be intimidating. It is my preferred when it comes to specifically like working with those in the construction field, because they tend to have more blocks when it comes to mindset blocks when it comes to putting words on a page. But working with them to develop the content and how you can structure that interview and structure that content to work on a project page. So this is independent of, or can be independent of, a proposal. Like you need to write a project sheet or a project page or a project write-up for the website, for their resume, for an award submission. What questions do you ask, and how do you not be intimidated by the technical nature of the content? And so really focusing on, I love the chronological piece when it comes to, this is really great for approaches. This is great for resumes. Like, talk to me what happened in the beginning and to the very end, and kind of walking through those major milestones of an approach. This is where I will take a formal schedule, so like a P6 schedule, or Microsoft project, whatever that looks like. And your main scopes of work are your main headings, and being able to ask questions based off of what's in that schedule is one, call it, hack I'll use when developing and writing an approach and interviewing someone specific about approach. The other one that I'll talk about is who, what, when, where, why, how. That is what I'll do in most cases for like resumes, and really understanding even a project. You can do that with a project description write-up. Who did we do it for? Right? What did we do? What was the timeline? When did we start? When did we finish? Major milestones in between. Where was it? And not just like city, like understanding the complexities around with all of those questions and what were the challenges around those questions. So those are some of the ways that when it comes to working with subject matter experts that I will use to get content out of them. And let's see what else I wanted to talk about. So yeah, that's when it comes to, so the other pieces of content in this step, right? So we are working on content, and there's lots of nuances when it comes to org charts and resumes and project sheets, and how to organize that technical approach and other ways, in structured ways to organize the content, which then affects the outline and some other things. But which I'll talk about later in some other videos about, I call it UASB. We developed this working on federal proposals in a way of ghosting competition. I'll leave it at that. A little sneak peek into the approach for writing technical responses. And then also as part of this, right, everything needs to be graphic and visual. And how do we incorporate graphical elements? I shouldn't say graphics, but graphical elements, right? These can be call out boxes. These can be different font treatments. How do we incorporate those onto every page of a proposal? And I said every page, because no one, just like you, we are not reading usually in an entire document. We are skimming, we are looking at graphics. So really understanding how to pick the best graphic for that page and how to take words and converting them to a graphic. If you have a call it expert graphic designer, they can look at your content and do that for you. But if you are also that person, for me, it's really putting on a different hat and thinking of it differently. And how do we communicate graphics in creating or communicating our words via graphics and making sure they're not confusing, and supplement what and provide some clarity, because sometimes we'll have reviewers, depending on their level, who are just looking at those graphics or looking at the cover letter and executive summary and skimming. So whew, a lot when it comes to content development. Lots of things. This is where really the rubber meets the road. This is where you can set yourself up for success or lots of struggles in the last week or two of a process when it comes to developing or responding to a proposal. So more to come. So talk to you later.